back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shape their lives, inviting us all to reflect and grow together. Today, we're joined by Jeff Bailey, dedicated expert in joint health and mobility. With over 45 years of experience, Jeff has transformed countless lives through his innovative approach to wellness, especially after his own journey of recovery from a ski accident. His passion for helping others reclaim their mobility shines through in everything he does. Let's settle in and explore the insights Jeff has to share with us today. Okay. Tell us your name and what you do, Jeff.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jeff Bailey, and I help people resolve pain and increase mobility.
Thank you for accepting my invitation to be a guest on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. What's your favorite quotes, Jeff?
Well, probably my favorite quote and certainly the most helpful quote or idea that I found in my life is pain is a messenger. It's not the problem. Listen to the pain and let it lead you to the problem where it can be resolved. And it works with physical pain. It works with emotional pain. It even works with psychological pain.
Can you make this understandable with an example?
I can. Yeah. So let's talk about psychological pain first. You know, maybe it's the loss of a pet or the loss of a loved one or loss of a job. You know, it's the pain that comes in psychologically and even emotionally is oftentimes centered around a feeling of loss or lack or some sort of grief. And what we often tend to do is we do things that make ourselves feel good. Or we distract ourselves. We do something that distracts us, and that can lead to illicit behaviors like drug use and alcohol use and things like that. It can lead to behaviors that are just not helpful and often hurtful. But when we really slow down and we listen and we start to go inside, we follow the pain in and we keep following it in and we keep welcoming it. You know, almost I think of it like if a stranger knocked on your door, somebody you didn't know, or maybe somebody that you knew in the distant past and you didn't quite recognize them, and you just said, "Sorry, you're not allowed here." You shut the door.
Yeah.
It's not kind. It's not welcoming. But what if that person had a real gift for you, you know? And so I know it's upside down in a way, but I've found it to be so proven when we welcome that pain and we go inside, good things always happen.
Oh, okay. You did give an example of psychological pain. I'd love for you to talk to us about physical pain.
Yeah. Okay. So the formula doesn't work if you stub your toe or you hit or you shut your thumb in the car door or something like that. The pain and the problem are right there, right? So it doesn't work for that. It just needs some time. It needs some love. It needs some rest. But for chronic pain, okay, so unresolved psychological pain or unresolved emotional pain will eventually find its way into the body. Stress, tension start to build up. And then we do things to try to get rid of it or avoid it or eliminate it. We kill the pain. I don't know. In America, we got all kinds of advertisements to take pills to get rid of the pain.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about, the way this formula really works is if there is pain and you don't really know the cause of it, you can't really figure it out. And so, you know, it could be shoulder pain, it could be knee pain, it could be lower back or hip pain. Those are some of the bigger joints in the body that cause people problems. And what I've found is that when we use movements and shapes that lead us into the pain and we go very slow and we're very thoughtful about it, the moment we start getting into the sensation of pain, we stop, we slow down, and we listen, okay? And then what starts to come up? It could be a memory, it could be a thought, it could be a feeling, an emotion that comes up, and it needs to come up. Maybe it's something you end up talking to a friend about, you talk to a family member about. Maybe you give it up ultimately we give it up to the light, we give it up to the love that we share. And, but it has to come up.
Yeah.
If we push it down, it just gets stuck. And so that's what I do with the Evita Yoga practice is we use shapes and movements that find the problems. We let the pain lead us into it, and then we spend time with it, and good things just start to happen. The bones and the joints love compression, and that's kind of the secret sauce of the whole thing.
Oh, oh. Pain is a messenger. Is that what you said? Pain is
That's
a
what I
messenger.
said. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad that when you explained physical pain, that you quickly exempted that of of hitting your hand on the wall or something like that and feeling the pain. Because I was like about to ask, okay, so what messages is that pain sending me at that moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think of it this way: when you kept saying pain is a messenger, what I could remember was pain is sometimes okay. Pain is a symptom, right? It's a sign, it's a warning, right, of something else that is wrong. And in this regard, right, some people will okay. What I'm thinking, what the thing that is just running through my head is there was a time where I had chronic headache, right? Like, the headache was the kind that shuts you down. You just cannot do anything. I'll take what do you call it now? Drugs for the headache pain, right? I'll just take now. The moment I finish taking the drugs, at some point in time, I looked at it, it stopped. It comes out twice stronger and worse than it was before I even took the drugs. And I was wondering, I was like, what was going on? And it occurred to me that it wasn't, I didn't have headache problem. Headache was just a sign, a warning of what was wrong in my body. And same thing with this physical pain. People try to deal with the pain and not knowing that, oh, it's maybe you're stressed and maybe you're tired or maybe so many things that could be the reasons, right? And yeah, I'm glad you shared this quote. It just reminded me of back then.
Yeah. Yeah. What we really have to do is what you just said is, if it's stress or tension or anxiety related, especially, we, we, we need to slow down a little bit. That's at the essence of it. Because for me, I've had three major injuries in my life. So another quote that I like to use is, there may be injuries, but there are no accidents.
Oh,
Okay. So you have an incident where you injure your knee. It's hard to walk when you have a
okay,
knee injury.
okay,
And then you go, okay, whoa. Instead of saying, why me? You say, what is this for? Now you start to go inside. You don't point your finger. You don't blame someone else. You don't blame yourself. You just say, wow, what is this for? And when you ask that question sincerely, the universe responds. And I promise you, if you ask that question and really listen, there will come a day when you look back on an injury and say, wow, that injury was a gift because it moved me in a different direction. We almost are always required to slow down. We don't like doing that as doers, as human doings. We don't like to slow down. We like to get out there and accomplish things. But the universe is saying, hey, man, it's time to slow down and listen. And what is it that's out of sync? What's not lined up in your life? And once we identify that, see, there it is again. The pain is leading me to the problem. And now I can see, oh my gosh, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm pushing for something that's never going to work or whatever. And then so you say, all right, now I know where the problem is. What next? Help. It really comes in the form of a prayer, help. And when we ask from the heart, the universe always responds. And
let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
And that's what moves us into a different direction. And that's how we heal. I'm sure that's how we heal.
When you started explaining about this injury quote and that of pain, the analogy that was running through my head, because I had a question before that, and so the analogy that was running through my head is, how do we decode the message that the pain is sending to us? Because a lot of persons, right, they are not ignorant, right, because they understand that, oh, pain is a messenger. They've gotten that part, but they're like these people. It's like, how do I explain? It's like if in your house now, someone knocks on your door and you see well decorated soldiers from from the military and all that. They well decorated. They're standing on your door. They knock and they're like, "Can we come in?" Now you will know that these people did not just come to your house because they like your face. Of course, there's nothing wrong with your face, but it's because they have a message for you. Now, if you have a son or a daughter in the military, your heart will skip. You're like, "Oh, hope nothing wrong happened." But for some persons, when these people are sitting down in the inside the house, they start engaging them in useless conversations, and every time they try to drop the message, they try to chip in the message. They start talking and they're like, "Oh, I understand this person is a messenger." They feel I feel like if I engage him in the conversation, I'll get the message. But at the end of the day, they don't. The messenger doesn't deliver the message. Do I make sense?
Yeah, let me see if I understand you. So there's a soldier at the door,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, the
And
messenger.
he's not kind. He's the
Uh,
messenger.
yeah, yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
He could be kind, but you're not sure.
It could be kind. But I'm just saying that you see someone who's at your door who you know that ordinarily that person would not visit you, and the only reason why the person is visiting you is because they have an urgent message to send to you. Now it could be a well-decorated
Yeah.
military officer who's at your door. It could be someone else. It could be, let's say, I don't know. It depends on the culture or that. Just that that person should not visiting you. It's not like there's anything wrong with the person
Yeah.
visiting you. But
It's
you like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, it's like you get what I'm saying. I could say,
I
the
get it.
president or
Yeah.
yeah, this, and you're like, oh, what's
Okay.
going on? What's the
Yeah. How do you know he's not there to hear the message from you?
ooh,
You
okay,
know, the so
ooh,
so when it the message is always love, okay? Because the call is always for love, and the love is hidden by fear and pain. That's why we must welcome it. So the first thing that happens, there's a knock at the door. Oh, I don't know. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't, it what can I do? I'm afraid. Well, I could hide. I could not answer the door. I could go out the back door and run, and this is where so this is why we practice. This is why we practice all the time, and we practice with the little things so that when something seemingly bigger comes along, we're tapped in to the inner guidance. So the first thing you have to do is say, wait a minute, I'm afraid. And so we have to welcome the fear, and we go inside, and when we welcome the fear drops, because responding in fear will never be the right answer. So now, how quickly can I get in touch with the love inside me, which will have an answer? It's peaceful guidance. That's why we practice. And so now the question is, and this is what I ask all day long, what would love have me do? Or what would peace have me do? Because I want peace and love to be my guide through everything, because it always has my best interests in mind. So maybe, maybe love will say, go out the back door. Maybe love will say, answer the front door. And you answer them, and the love comes through, because maybe that person is there. Well, I can promise you that person is there to heal right along with you and with me. And you've probably heard the word namaste. Namaste is the practice of recognizing the light and the love in another so that we may know it in ourselves. And so that's how the most, sometimes a frightening situation can turn into a very healing situation
Yeah.
when we respond with kindness and with love. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I've listened to what you said. I've understood that pain is a message and trying to point our attention to something else that is wrong. What is one actionable step I can take to decode the message my pain is trying to tell me? Not tomorrow, not next week, not in a now, of course, there are long-term habits and lifestyles, but something I can just do today. Today, like I'm listening to the podcast episode, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe from this very conversation, there could be some fear coming up, and pain is just a version of fear. So right here, right now, you befriend the fear. It's like there's an enemy, we want the ego wants us to have enemies. And so instead of having an enemy, you imagine yourself shaking hands. We befriend this thing that we don't like. And the moment we do that, the shift happens. So we start with the small thing. If you're sitting here listening to this podcast, all you got to do is close your eyes and say, what am I afraid of? What are my concerns? What do I feel like could get me or happen to me? And then you just you befriend it and you welcome it and you let it come up. And you practice with the small stuff. You practice all day long with the little triggers. You bump your head and you want to get mad and you hit the door and like, oh wow, wait a minute, I guess I, I didn't have to react that way. It's so you start to
yeah,
laugh at these little things. And then uh, when it comes to the physical pain, what I would say is, I'll give you the example of, it's a very simple example. I don't know if your listeners, can people see us or do they just hear us?
it depends on where they're listening. If they're watching on YouTube, they can see us, but if
Okay,
they're
great.
listening on
So,
Spotify, they can hear us. So you
okay.
have to
So,
explain whatever you're doing right now. You have to be explaining it so that people can
okay.
understand it.
I'll explain it the best I can. And if you can see this, it'll help. So here's the yoga that I do. It's all for joint health because the problem and the pain is in and around our joints,
Okay.
whether it's the knee, the shoulder, the hip. Your joints love pressure the same way bones love pressure. So the demonstration I'm going to show you is, let's just say that I had arthritis right here in the first joint of my pointer finger of my right hand. Okay. Let's just
Okay.
say there's arthritis there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to bend my finger. Oh, there's some pain. There's pain in my finger. You imagine this is your hip or your knee or your shoulder. The shoulder and the hip and the knee are a little more complex than this. And that's what I do is I teach people how to go into the problem to resolve it. But now I'm moving into the pain in my finger and I can put a little pressure on it. I don't push hard on it, but I bring some pressure into it. I relax, I breathe through my nose, I close my eyes. All of a sudden, the pain that was there a moment ago now actually is healing sensation. Okay? It may be a little bit uncomfortable, but that pressure is received by the nervous system
Yeah.
because there's physiology in my joint that's going to help resolve that. That's a whole nother story. That's what the book is about. Mobility for Life. That's my upcoming book. So this is what we do in the Evita Yoga practice. We put pressure into the joints. We spend time with them. We close our eyes. You have to be in the position for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And that stimulates the cleansing and the healing of the joint. And it leads us into this deep intuitive place in our hearts. That's how it works. So you can experiment with that a little bit. And a finger is a very good place to start. You put the pressure on it, you feel that it's healing sensation, you spend some time with it, relax, don't shake it out, don't stretch it out, just relax. And it will start to clean up mild arthritis. It'll even start to change mild degeneration. So I've experienced that with injuries in my body, and 30 minutes is not enough time to explain it all, but that's
Yeah.
that's the gist of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I know if you want to um, l- get the full gist, you can. check out Jeff's yeah, where can they get the food gist? Yeah. Yeah, where can they get the food gist? Because I know you just gave us an appetizer. Where can we get the food gist? Where can we learn more? Where can we see all those concepts and frameworks you mentioned in the conversation?
Yeah, my website is called Evita, Avita Yoga Online, Evita Yoga Online, and there uh, you can see my book. It's called Mobility for Life,
Oh, wow.
and it's my second book, and I talk about all of these insights. And
Wow.
the book is available digitally, so you can get the hardback, or you can get a downloadable PDF for Kindle and things like that. And it's loaded with these kind of insights in a way that I find very, very helpful. Help many people the same way.
Yeah. The website is packed. I'll be sure to put in the link in the description and the show notes so listeners can just click and go straight to the site. And I see you have a lot of videos on the site for my listeners, trainings, retreats, workshops, many more. Thank you so much,
Hmm.
Jeff. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you. Thank you for letting us know that pain is a mess.
Yeah. Thank you. What a joy to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.